Like, I know this is scary to people, and it should be, because this is where a lot of people get burned, but you got to know how to rehab. And once you do those first 6 steps, then you move into what I talked about, number 7, which is generating income, having multiple exit strategies, whether it be renting, flipping, wholesaling, owner financing. But when you give yourself multiple exit strategies and multiple ways to make money, your business is so much more profitable. It's so much more sustainable. It's more enjoyable. It's just fun when you have these options. And so that's what my real estate business is built on. That's what my first book was written about. That was the outline, so to speak. And so when I'm talking about, creating a business model and some fundamentals, that's what I'm referring to in this presentation. So let's talk about your next year, your 2018. Your 2018. Let's talk about the typical New Year's resolutions. So I just Googled, like, what are the typical New Year's resolutions? Exercise more, lose weight, eat more healthy, learn a new skill or hobby, drink less alcohol, stop smoking. Okay, cool. Like, those are good. There's nothing wrong with any of those. Those are really good goals and resolutions. I would say some of them are a little bit more vague, and you need to be really specific, and you need to be really clear when you come to creating goals. And then the other thing too, the name of this presentation is how to create an epic 2018. So maybe if you stop smoking, that would be epic. Like that's probably pretty good. But if you just exercise more, is that going to be an epic year? I don't know. If you lose some weight, is that going to be epic? I don't know. I don't know where you're at. I don't know how much weight we're talking about. I don't know some of the circumstances. So let's start talking about, like, creating epic 2018 is going to require, like, doing some stuff like above and beyond, like doing some stuff that's epic. So, like, start thinking about first, like, what would be epic to you? Like, what if you could create what it is that is in your heart, like what it is that, like, in your heart, like this burning desire for you to create in life and business, like, what would that be? Like, what would that be? And like really try to be clear, try to be specific, try to visualize that success, whatever that means to you. Maybe it is, doing a few deals and getting out of debt, or salvaging a relationship, or losing weight, or dropping drinking or smoking, whatever it may be. And whatever your financial goals in real estate, like, visualize it, like, really, really visualize it. And there's some power in this. And I'm not like Tony Robbins, okay? I'm not gonna ask you to walk over coals, but I'll tell you, I spend a significant amount of my time on goal setting and visioning and focusing on what is important, and vision boarding, like creating a board. So now let me throw a little curveball at you. So, and I'm going to give you another perspective to think about when it comes to your resolutions. And here it goes. So you're going to die. You are going to die. Okay? And you're like, what are you talking about, Brant? And this is a strong motivator for us all. At least in my opinion, it should be. And I know it was for Steve Jobs. And I'll let you read this, but I'm going to read the top sentence. It says, by Steve Jobs, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. So what Steve Jobs is talking about right here is actually a little bit about what a lot of marketers do, or what most good marketers do and businesses do, and they create scarcity in their offers. They create scarcity in their offers for a limited time only. You can only have this for the next, for the next 15 people that sign up, or only for the next, 3 days. You can have this offer. You can only get the McRib sandwich, like whatever it is, 1 or 2 months a year. It's because of scarcity. Oh no, I can't get a McRib unless I get it this month. So this is kind of the same thing. Okay, this is kind of the same thing, because we all have, whether it be written down or just in our head, little bucket list things that we want to do in life, things we want to get done, things we want to accomplish, things that we want to experience. We all have those things, but there's this scarcity factor. Like, we're all going to die. And the problem with life is this. The problem with life is this. It's so easy to go on a drift. It's so easy to go on a drift and get caught up in life. And time goes by fast. A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And I know, some of those of you listening to this, you're coming from, maybe you're in different stages in life. Some of you may be in your 20s, some may be in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I don't know. We're at all different stages of our life. So, first thing I want to say is, if you're beating yourself up because you know that you've drifted for far too long, that's okay. Like, first off, like, one of my big things with my students and myself is, like, no self-abuse. Like, no self-abuse. We're not going to get any further, create any, improved results by just beating ourselves up for something that we could have, should have done in the past. Acknowledge it, accept it, forgive ourselves, and let's move forward and build from it. Like, let's take action moving forward to create something new rather than whining about the past. So, case in point for me was, previous to going into real estate, previous to even going into the corporate world, which was where I was at before I went into real estate, I was in law enforcement. And so when I was in law enforcement, for 7 years, and it was good. Like, it paid the bills and it was stable, whatever. But I knew it wasn't for me. And I knew this somewhere around year 5, a little bit. Year 6, for sure, I'm like, got to get out. This is not for me. This is not, especially I had my first child. I was working late nights, weekends, holidays, blah, 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 hardly seeing him, my wife. I'm like, I knew this wasn't for me. I had to get out. So I made a choice fairly quickly, within about a year's time, like, how to transition out of that. But I remember that there were so many people, in my department, my friends, coworkers, and they were so unhappy. And they used to complain all the time. And they used to count down their years. They would say, I only have 15 years left to retirement. Oh, we got 8 more years, 10 more years, 20-something years. Guys my age. I was in my early 20s at that time. And I'm listening, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm 27, 28 here, 25, 26, 27. And I'm like, that's a long time you're talking about. 10, 15 years? Like, that's a significant amount of time. And we're the officers here. We're not the inmates. So you can actually leave. Like, you don't have to stay here. And this is my message to you, whether you be in a bad job or relationship, whatever it may be. Like, you don't have to stay there. Like, you have free will. And most of you, like, we live in America. It's a free country, right? So here's the funny thing that happened, though. I left the police department. And my particular department where I was at was very close to a hospital here in the Houston area, where we have, my wife and I have five kids. We have 4, and we adopted 1. But all 4 of our children were born at the same hospital. So after I left the police department a couple years later, had another baby. So I was at the hospital, it's literally like across the street from my police department. So I went back, visited my old buddies. Guess what they were talking about? A lot of them, a few years older, maybe a few pounds heavier, whatever, and same stuff, like complaining about the police department, complaining about this, that, and the other thing, and talking about, I can't wait till I retire, I only got X amount of years, just count down the years. Well, guess what? Had another baby a couple years later, went back to the hospital, checked out, told my wife, hey, I'm going to go visit my buddies for a little bit, come back to the hospital later on. So I went and visited my buddies. Guess what? Same people, same complaints, yada, yada, yada. A couple years later, about 4 years later, I had another child. And same thing, went back, visited the police department, talked to my old friends, talked to my old buddies, a few pounds heavier, a few years older, talking about the same thing. I'm like, you don't have to stay here. You don't. For you, whoever you may be watching this right now, Remembering that you will be dead soon can be one of the most important tools that you can use to help you create a sense of urgency and go out and take action right freaking now. No more excuses.